Thank you for your interest in the Retained Recruiter show powered by iIntro. Before the show starts, I have a small favour to ask of you. Our goal is to provide you with the most insightful, helpful and practical recruitment knowledge and know-how from the best in the recruitment industry. If you like this channel and enjoy watching our content, hit the subscribe button to get notified as soon as we upload a new episode. Thank you again, and as ever, we're rooting for your success. Now, time for the show. Hello and welcome to the Retained Recruiter show. My name is James.
And my name is Jo. Thank you very much for joining us today. And as you can tell, we are now joined by two amazing people who we'll introduce you to in a second, won't we, James?
Yeah, absolutely. Got a returning guest, Chris Hickey. So if you've not watched Chris Hickey in one of our earlier episodes, please do look that up on YouTube. And we're also joined from Chris's team with Ryan Pritchard. Ryan is the Performance Director at Mercury Hampton. Mercury Hampton are a long-standing client of iIntro, so we're delighted to welcome you both to today's event. And also, before I ask you to just sort of give a brief introduction of yourself, just want to say to everybody who's listening in today, if you're a first-time listener, welcome. There's lots of these shows that we do. This is episode number 54, I think. So there's lots of episodes that you can find on YouTube. So welcome in. Also, if you do want to leave a comment, please leave a comment, and we'll endeavour to answer those questions as we go through. What I'm hoping is a very engaging conversation between Chris and Ryan. Jo and I will just sort of try and keep the things moving along. But Chris, why don't you just give a brief introduction? Tell us all about the amazing things that you guys are doing at Mercury Hampton, and then we'll get Ryan to give a brief overview of what Performance Director. He sounds like sounds like the guy Brailsford at Manchester United. Anyway, there we go.
He's better than Brailsford. I think Brailsford got the job because Ryan didn't apply. My name's Chris Hickey. I'm the co-founder and managing director of Mercury Hampton. We are an executive recruitment firm. We also offer interim management services and also a wide plethora of performance-based solutions, enabling companies to optimize and transition into high-performing teams. Over to you, Ryan.
Hi. So thanks, Chris. It's very kind of you to say that as well. I work as a performance director at Mercury Hampton, and my role here is the creation and deployment of our performance services, both on a one-to-one basis and for teams of people that come together. And we focus predominantly on addressing behavioural change in individuals to help them improve their performance in the workspace. So we take teams, regardless of where they find themselves in their life cycle, to whatever state they're in, to moving to a direction of being high performing. And in that is a whole bunch of behaviours and models and formats that we use to share with them and help them develop their culture and their performance.
Listen, thanks for that introduction, Ryan. I think it's fascinating because many people listening into this who are running recruitment businesses will say a performance director as part of a recruitment firm. And I think, Chris, it's a testament to how you've grown and built your firm over the last 5-6 years. I mean, you've gone from strength to strength, really. So I don't think you should underestimate how well you've done. I'm sure you feel good some days, or most days. So congratulations on that. So we'll come back to finding out more about performance and how you interact with clients as we go forward. But Chris, we'll pose the questions and we'll try and alternate them. If Ryan obviously is going to jump in when he's got some elements to add on to. But I'm going to start off with. Well, it's probably quite a complex term, but standing out. That's one of those things that many recruitment firms look to do, and it's often cited as being crucial. Now, you've got a lot of experience in the recruitment industry, not just your Mercury Hampton days, but before that. So, in your experience, how do employers identify and help decide which recruitment firms they should work with, and is there any uniqueness out there? So I know it's a difficult question, but might as well start with the top.
I think. When we set the business up, it was all about demonstrating added value. And the gateways into this sector is anyone can go into sales. As we all know, there is no gateways and need a particular degree or anything. We can all go into it, but and the gateways of starting a recruitment company are somewhat the same as well. But if you are someone who wants to really do something with your business that is considered different, special, or whatever term you choose to, to give it, it will all come back to you demonstrating added value in some capacity. An added value could be, there's multiple angles to that, but that's something that I believe, know that we've been able to demonstrate over the last 5 years with our customers.
Yeah. Forgive me for pushing a little bit harder on this one, Chris, because it sounds, people listening obviously sometimes things like the words added value sounds like a cliche. What does that mean? Yeah. So how do you demonstrate added value, as you said? I can push on that one.
No, it's cool. It's a good question, and it's a hard one to answer without giving away all of our little tactics.
We'll try to do some generic ones. Use some generic ones.
I'm only joking. I think modernization into, I suppose, this digital world that we live in right now is essential for businesses in our space right now. There are loads of CV supply companies out there, earning good money, doing really well. That's fine, but if you really want to stand out from the crowd, I think working on the way you digitize your service with the customer is quintessential. And what that's doing is it's demonstrating that you actually deeply care about what you're trying to do and what you're trying to deliver. So I would say digitization in its many forms, really looking at the improved service delivery, whether that's through psychometric profiling, aptitude testing, cultural diagnostics, whatever your company is able to do. I think using your skills to its full potential, again, through the introduction of digitization in as a cohesion, I think that's a really good place to start. But we've all got different markets that we work in. We've all got different target personas on clients, candidates. You're going to need to really look at it and think about what your market can, what's missing in your market, and where can you add value and stand out.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. I like the idea of adding value. When we put the title for this together, I think we could have called it a million things. And I want to come on to the sort of successes that you guys are having over there at Mercury Hampton in a second anyway, because I think that adds value to this if we're talking about adding value. But when we came up with the title, I think we were trying to talk about, we were trying to focus on how can recruitment businesses have interesting conversations with prospects? And a lot of that does come from the value that you can add to clients. But I think, so Ryan, from your perspective, obviously, you've been in recruitment for a long time, as well as other industry sectors. When it comes to having interesting conversations with clients, what is it that you think that us as recruiters can be saying to clients, or can be offering clients, that clients find beneficial and useful and interesting?
Thanks. My background isn't a career in consultancy. It's always been it's been 18 years exec coach and leadership development. So I can only speak from that perspective, to be honest with you. And I'd fudge it if I tried to give you another answer. But I think it's very important to add continuous value and to ensure that it's the ease of doing business through the digitization of your business to make it seamless and enjoyable to do business. And as Chris said, I think that's key to how you can differentiate yourself, making it easy to do business with you. Because it's very, there are a lot of businesses out there that make it highly complex, and then they make it more difficult than it needs to be, and the standards aren't as high as, we emphasize a lot on the standards that we place on working with our clients. So that's all I can speak from that perspective.
I'm going to sort of summarize, Chris, and Ryan, what some of you said there, because you just come back to add value. But I think what you're doing is you're going beyond candidate identification. Yeah, because most recruiters out there, when you talked about the people who are making money out of sending CVs, they're just focused on candidate identification. The adding value part is really how you're sharing with the client how they can improve what is essentially an outdated recruitment process founded in the 20th century in reality, and actually going beyond candidate identification to show the client that you can identify better than anybody else, you can do it better, more efficiently than anybody else, and you can deliver a better service than anybody else. And I think it's adding those elements around there that can do.
Yeah, it's about giving. It's about imparting knowledge and giving the client confidence that there is a better solution than what they perceive it to be. Because in most cases they don't have a clue about, it's not that they don't have a clue, that might be a bit disrespectful. They have a general blue sky idea as to how we operate and what our motivations are and how we do things. And some of those, some of those assumptions are probably correct, but there's probably 80% of them that are not. So demonstrating the added value and taking them on the journey, it's all about customer experience, and through taking the client on a deeper customer experience, it's demonstrating that you can improve business optimization as a result of coming on this journey. So it's business optimization. It's been able to predict consistency, have confidence in decision making, being able to replicate certain processes so that your business is more scalable. There's multiple facets to this. I could talk about this for ages, but there's multiple facets to it. But when we're training internally, we focus on things as an holistic view, not necessarily just one thing. And it works for us. So
I think that'll lead us nicely to the next question, won't it, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. So in your journey, then you must have undoubtedly, I'm sure, had thousands of conversations, with prospect companies, and obviously brought lots of recruitment consultants into your business that you train and mentor to do the same thing. Can you share a particular, I don't know, like a moment or a conversation or an experience that you've had that maybe has sort of changed your perspective on how you engage with prospects, or maybe how you've done it in the past, for example, versus maybe how you do it now?
Again, I can answer this in loads of different ways. I think when we're working with any, whether it be a prospect client or an active, highly spending client, or a client who hasn't spent with us, for a year or two, these things, as we go through these peaks and troughs sometimes with clients, we treat all of them the same. So irrelevant of whether they're high spending and they're spending, hundreds of thousands of pounds, or they haven't spent with us, we treat everyone the same. And I think through going through that journey of asking questions and really listening to what's going on every single conversation that you're having, it allows you to go through the journey with each one of them and really try and solve some complex problems. So I don't know if I've answered that question properly there by what I've said, but if you want to ask some secondary questions to deep dive, I'm more than happy to give the answers.
I think what you just said then was really, really poignant about it's solving problems, isn't it? Asking questions and solving problems. I think not just going in and pitching, not just going in and kind of feature bashing, giving all the features of your service as a recruitment business, because this isn't about us, is it, as recruiters? This is about the clients and how we can enable their organizations.
Just coming back to your point, and I'm expanding on that, and Joe, so the little I have had in terms of to do with, like, specifically with recruitment, coming back to the point of seeking first to understand, then to be understood. In understanding the client's current state, whether it's a client looking to get a particular role filled, or whether I'm working with an individual in an organization, fully, clearly understanding the current state of what is actually going on. Mm-hmm. And through the power of your questioning, then you can actually get them to think about things in ways that they've never, ever considered, which then adds significant value to the services that you bring to the table. And then if you can then conversely then paint a picture of the future of what is their desired state through the art of questioning and listening and paying attention, then you demonstrate your credibility in that way. And I think we place a lot of emphasis on that.
Yeah.
I think what you said there, I mean, this is about what you're demonstrating to client there is you're not in a transactional relationship, which is what most recruitment is perceived as. And Chris, when you were saying in terms of the clients, and you didn't mean to be disrespectful, and you said they don't know what they're doing. The reality is they keep on doing what they've always done. And that's one of those things, because the role that you guys place with your clients is one of actually helping educate them to do things in a better way. And I think when you come around to that questioning technique, and as you touched on, Ryan, as well, the listening technique in terms of how that can be understated, because it's not just about asking great questions; it's about listening to those answers and actually sort of pulling them out. So again, are there any examples when you sort of use that in your experiences?
Well, the only one I refer to on this is a guy that I follow, and he's no longer with us, but there's a guy called Joseph Campbell, who was a famous psychologist from America and a leading guy in his field, world-renowned. And the older he got, I think, before he retired, he said he's come to the realization that he'd healed 90% of his clients and solved 90%, assisted them in solving 90% of their problems simply by listening and being present in their presence. So the power of listening really is the power of silence is actually a very powerful tool when you adopt it, because a lot of people, I'm sure we've all experienced it, when people like to just fill the silence with words, when actually just holding that space, that's when a client can have a key moment where they can actually come upon an insight which is really, really valuable, and then share that with you, and then you can obviously then leverage that and use it moving forward.
Yeah,
I think you're helping them, giving them that bit of time to think, rather than, as I said, Ryan, filling it with, what could be verbal diarrhea if you're not careful. Is actually giving the time for it just for it to just come out in that way, isn't it? So good for that. So I think okay. So and obviously with that link to that psychologist you mentioned, very helpful as well, because that 90% stat is fascinating. So thanks for that. Listen, just before we go on to the next question, Joe, what flashed up on screen a moment ago is what we call our roadmap, and that roadmap, which you can download, will actually sort of give you some ideas on how we can actually help you sort of go through that. So it's up on the top of the screen. So www.retainedroadmap.com to give you some ideas on how you can take the journey or move yourself onto the journey with our intro that Chris and his team have followed as well. So anyway, Joe, on to the next question.
Yes. So you see, interestingly, now this is quite a good segue. So we're talking about being consultative, adding value, asking questions, identifying problems, enabling businesses, listening to their answers, being able to move together towards a solution. And then previously, Chris, we talked about digitization. And sometimes I think digitization dilutes the latter can dilute the former, can't it? So how do we use digitization, do you think, to get us closer to clients and to enable us to have better conversations, do you think?
I think sometimes when a new sexy product comes into a company, I think what everyone tends to do is they tend to get overly ambitious about selling the product, and selling the product and ramming the product down the customer's neck becomes more important than solving the problem. So it's about using the sales process, of which most people listening to this, they would have had some form of sales process training. Now, the first stage being the introduction, and the second stage, you go on to the fact find. You can't move to the solution, which is the product, until the fact find is done. It's impossible. So paying attention to the fact find and then steering your questioning around potential pain points, which can put you in a situation where you can naturally have a conversation about the digital solution that you have, is a much more powerful way than trying to ram it down the customer's neck. So I think that is all down to questioning technique and confidence and experience in some cases. So that's my take on how digitization and the process can come together a bit more effectively.
I think what you're saying there, Chris, is that digitization, it's and as we've said this, and again, this is going to sound cliche, but it is the enabler. I mean, you've still got to do the work. You were just talking about the fundamentals of good quality training that you said. Everybody listening in has hopefully had some experience in terms of sales process training, because those fundamental steps of developing a sales call, introduction, fact find, or qualification, and as he said, exactly right. Before you decide to present a solution, you've got to know what the problem is. And if all you're doing is trying to present a tech solution, you're going to fail, I think, because you haven't listened. Going back to what we said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something that we just we were a little bit, when we first partnered with you guys, and it was all really new and we were learning. Sometimes you go through the learning curve of adopting new methods, and your ambition sometimes gets away with you. And I thought that literally after an hour, I'd be on the phone to Siemens, signing them up for a £20 million deal, and it doesn't always work that way. It's about having patience and working the technology into your sales process, into your questioning process, and into your service proposition. And it takes time and repetition and confidence. Through repetition you gain confidence. Through results, you gain even more confidence. So yeah.
Well, again, interesting to say about that repetition. Yeah, because obviously, in our world, in the world of recruitment, obviously things like rejection are as common, well, actually probably more common than success, aren't they? You've got to be able to sort of be resilient and stand up to that. Yeah. So listen, Chris, every time I meet you, you're a positive, outwardly thinking. I know the way you've expanded your business to the US, for example, you got all this enthusiasm. You know, that, I'm assuming, that's authentic because that's the way you feel. So how do you maintain that? That positive outlook, and what is it that you do in your business that sort of keeps driving you forward?
I don't know how to answer that question.
A compliment, wasn't it?
It's a good question.
I think, I'm not doing anything other than being my authentic self on this call right now. So obviously we have parts of our personalities that go up a little bit when we're in the workspace, and then when I'm at home, I'm chilling out watching, TV with the kids. But you can't be successful in a commercial business if you're not approaching it with an element of positivity and ambition and curiosity and determination and innovation. You've got to look at things from multiple angles to try and move them forward to the next stage. And you can only do that through bringing a positive attitude and, again, looking at ways of being more innovative to help your solution be more effective.
So but how do you bring that into your conversations with the client or the prospect?
To the client. My process probably isn't too much different than a lot of the other processes that most of the guys who are watching this are doing right now. I just have, I suppose, more practice of using the sales process and the digitization as a solid partnership for a longer period of time. And as a result of doing that for a longer period of time, I have more confidence. So I can approach this with absolute 100% clarity and confidence because I've got results that back up that my methodology is highly successful. If I didn't have those results, I probably wouldn't be as confident as I am right now. But it takes repetition and failing and learning to get to a stage where you've got the confidence to get the results, to get the repetition to. So it's just all about learning. It's self-learning always. That's what it's all about. So, and Ryan.
Sorry, mate. No, as I say with you, Chris, I think it's so ingrained in Chris and his DNA and who he is and what he does. He's done it such a long time and he's exceptionally good at it. But it's those 4 levels of learning. You start something at the beginning. You don't know what you don't know. Then you quickly, very, very, very quickly. When you start, if you go back to when you started driving a car, for example, you didn't know how to drive until you got it and tried. Then you realised within a nanosecond that you weren't any good at it. And then you move to stage 2. Then you do all you can to move from stage 2 to stage 3, where there's lots of frustration, loads of people give up. That's when you're tested the most. And then you get your driving license. And then eventually, that doesn't mean that you're a great driver because you're still in the early days. But over a period of time, you're walking out of the office with a coffee in one hand, bag in the other, put your keys in the car, you're on the phone to someone, you've driven home, and it's become unconscious behaviour. And I think with Chris, it's so ingrained in who he is and what he does that it's if we could bottle that, and that would be pretty special.
Well, I think people like Chris have invested and put themselves out there to be trained in doing that. And obviously, that's one of the things we try to do at iIntro with people. We're not just a technology solution; we're also about training and coaching. And if you want to book some time with us, you can book a call. Book a meeting with us. www.retainedcall.com. Joe, I think you got Ryan. Thanks for that question. There, I think we've got a question which might be right in your wheelhouse. So, Joe's going to throw the next one up.
Yeah, I mean. We had a question come in, and now there's a 2-part question, Ryan, because you've just reminded me of something else that I think would be useful to discuss here. So we're talking about psychology earlier on. You talked about, I think clients are very conditioned and in working the way that they're working with their current recruiters, which could be in quite a kind of transactional way, as we've discussed before, and the actual moving of them from current state to desired state, which is where you want them working with you in this new way, and everything's fabulous. That psychological journey can be quite tough for the client, can't it? But also that's quite a long journey for a recruiter to go on with a client. So do you have any kind of opinions or advice as to, how can we, I suppose, armor and train our recruiters to be able to sell like that rather than this kind of transactional way?
So I think coming at it, the first thing that comes up for me there is if I put on my coaching hat for that, because that's the only one I can speak from. You're forming a partnership with your client, and you're curating and agreeing with them what a current state is, and you're really asking pertinent questions, which is, the moment you get your clients to really think, they'll come to you and say to you what they think they want. But actually, if you ask them the right questions, that will change fundamentally. What's really going on now, and what does good look like? What do you want to see from this individual you're going to place, in 6 months' time? What will they be doing differently? What will they be doing when you come and speak to them? What will success look like? But I think up front, it's about clearly defining what is the current state, and then agreeing the comms that you're going to have with them along that journey. Because if it can be a long journey in terms of that you go on, and ensuring that your cadence of touch points of interaction are there and that they're not forgotten, and that you really go above and beyond sort of a servant leadership mindset, so that you are really engaging with your clients and, for want of a better phrase, holding their hand on the journey and just keeping fully engaged with them. Because, you human beings, we get an awful lot from that symbiotic relationship and energy transference. I think that's really critical to keeping and maintaining momentum.
Absolutely. And I think that, from your experience then, how does the kind of the psychological drivers of the prospects enhance the conversations that we have with them then? Because this isn't just us selling a product, is it? This is us now changing their mindsets, essentially.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about being very, very clear. And it's also painting a picture, and I use this quite often, a picture of the art of the possible. Because we're motivated one of two ways, right? We're either motivated away from something or towards something. And the easiest way for you to work that out is to think about how you got out of bed this morning. You got out of bed one of two ways. You either hit the snooze button, and you did that so many times that it got closer and closer and closer to you really needing to be out of the house. And you thought, right, I better get out of here now, because otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. Or, as is in the case, if you're going on a nice holiday, you wake up 15 minutes before the alarm and you're out the door. So it's how you motivate them by painting a picture of the art of the possible. So what's the current state? What's the art of the possible? And in keeping that engagement along the way.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Which is very different, Chris, isn't it? From, I suppose, we've all had experiences, I think, of quite transactional recruitment, which is all based around, I can find you a candidate or I can send you a CV, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The industry's not really, our sector hasn't really evolved amongst the masses for probably 50 years. There are pockets of companies out there which you guys are aware of, and probably some of them are, I know some of them are your customers, where they have gone on that evolution cycle and they have moved away from being transactional. They do have more robust, innovative software into programs that they can offer and to support their customers, customer experience. They've looked at product differentiation. They've looked at new regions, again, I could talk about this for ages, but I think that it's all about, again, it comes back to adding value and understanding how you can add value, and you can do a lot of added value by just listening.
Good. Listen, we've had a couple of questions come in, so just conscious that we've got so James Pickering is saying, obviously, because and we need to paint this picture. You guys are extremely successful. I know we're coming off the back of a couple of good years, but not the same in every industry. So part of me says, what are you doing that's different, and what's your outlook for the remainder of this year going into next year? So it'd be interesting to know a little bit about your successes, your outlook on that one, Chris.
We've done really well, but be under no illusion about how much effort we've had to put in to do well. It's not like we haven't come in at 10:10 with a bacon barm and a cup of tea and then left at 4. It's not been like that. We've been in early. We've had to work probably twice as hard last year for the same. It's really difficult. However, this year so far, we've had quite a fast start. And as I said to you before we jumped on the call, James, I don't think we had a day this year, or I don't know, there probably is a couple. There's not been many days this year where we haven't won a retained assignment. Probably in the whole of what we're on the 7th of March, might have been 10 days where we've not won a retained assignment, something, I don't know. But that's not because we're magic. It's because we've worked really hard. And as a result of working really hard, we've made lots of mistakes. Those mistakes have enabled us to refine our approach to get better, and then when you get better, you get better results. So that's it. There's no. It's not because we're magic. That's it.
That's methodology and process, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
You've just you've embraced it and actually made sure it works. So I'm sure everyone's I mean, I'm sure everyone listens. Oh, I work hard, but it's not just about working hard. It is about working hard to a purpose, isn't it? In terms of understand that particular.
Yeah, I think lots of people in the recruitment sector work hard. Lots of them do, but there's working hard. You can work hard and smart, or you can work hard with unintelligence, and you can and vice versa. You know, and I think it's all about getting the right balance, and you know, that's what it's about. You can work. You can reduce your, I suppose, let's phone time, if we call it, or team calls time by half, and get twice the results if your methodology and your attitude and your approach to it is better. So, and that's where why we focus so much on the infrastructure and the digitization and the training and the development and things like that.
Do you see yourselves as disruptors in your market sector, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely, but it's a deliberately planned disruption. It's not. We didn't just arrive. We didn't just wake up one day and this happened. You know, we've got a non-exec director who was James Cahn's CEO. We've got a board of directors now. We've got a management team. We've got, you know, again, trading in 18 different countries. 5 years ago, there was just me and John Salis in a 6'6" room. You know, that was it. You know, just using the terminology, smashing the phones as we all did. You know, when you're in startup mode. And Ryan come into the business about 3 years ago, because Ryan was actually for us to get better, we needed to bring someone in to make us better. So Ryan actually coached me and John, and then we fell in love, and the story's you know, the rest is history. He works with us now. You know,
a bit like the old Victor Khayyam story. Do you remember that one, Ryan? Ever heard of that one?
Khayyam, no, go on.
Oh, you're too young. You see, it's the old advert from way back in the 70s. The advert, I liked it so much, I bought the company or joined the company.
I do remember that now. Yeah, so now I'm showing my age. Yeah.
Chris, I mean, that's a fascinating growth story. Just a couple of things. Looking forward towards the future. I mean, other things that are happening in the marketplace. Just interested to share some of your views on things like automation, AI. Are you seeing much impact from that in the way that you work?
Yeah, definitely. We've been using AI for about 2 years. So AI is coming into play now on LinkedIn, and you know, but we're 2 years into this. Again, not by fluke. We're always looking to stay ahead of the game, and we get lots of sales calls of people, you know, businesses trying to sell us things. So we do give our time sometimes to look at product demos, because you never know what's out there in the market. And for anyone watching this, if you haven't had a demo, it's worth having a demo, because it might change the course of how you run your business. And have a look at other demos and do whatever you want to do. But I think it's going to be a good year overall this year, James. I think it's going to pick up, and there's a lot of changes around the politics at the minute with the government, and hopefully that's steady. Once the ship's a bit more steady, our sector will benefit. So, yeah.
Good, and right on cue, Chris, as that when you said to people who want a demo, if you want to sort of do that and find out how Chris and his business are doing that, then www.retainedcall.com. Listen, anything you want to sort of add, Joe, before we? Because I'm just conscious of time. Both, Chris and Ryan, you've given up, half an hour of your day, which we really do appreciate as well. Obviously, people listening in. But Joe, anything to finally ask before we move on?
The only thing I think is really useful is that when you hear it from people that are out there doing it, you always say, if you want to know how to get to B, ask someone who's got to B. Don't and I think you guys are you're on your way to be, if not already there. And so I think it's useful for people to hear it from people who are doing this every day, at the desk. And sometimes the simplest ideas and the simplest solutions are the best solutions, aren't they? So, being human, communicating, listening really well, working hard, looking for improvements to constantly make, and always moving forwards. So I think it's been a really good session. Again, I do wonder sometimes if you get people who come onto these thinking that they're going to hear the magic bullet, the one fixed way of solving all your problems in recruitment, and there isn't any. It's a series of things done really well, and I think that you've really put that across today. So I think that's really good. Thank you. Oh, James said, well done to my dog for not barking. Probably lost it, to be honest, James. Don't know where it's gone. Would have normally barked 27 times by now.
Good. Listen, I think Ryan, Chris, it's been really motivational for people to say, Joe, there are no magic tricks in this one. Hard work, effort, process, methodology. Those are all things that you've employed and adopted in your business. And I say you've been a tremendous success story. I know you've won awards last year, and I say the expansion of your business into the US. Fantastic. Wish you continued success. And I think for people listening, you probably wonder how do they sell, nearly a retainer every day in what's been a fairly tough starts market. And it's down to hard work and effort plus intelligence. So congratulations, guys. And Chris, you just got to remind people, for those people who know what was your best month that year? What was your best month last year in terms of retainers? Yeah, not financial. Don't say that.
Our best month. Oh no, I think we talked about clients. We won 46 new clients in July last year in 1 month.
Amazing. And I want to get that down because it's just a staggering piece of information for people to do. And and it's not because you've got 150 guys. I mean, it's you're still a growing business. So that just shows it's testament to hard work and effort. And those are things that we all look to help people with here at iIntro. So again, please do get in touch if we can help. Ryan, anything to add before we wish everyone farewell? Do appreciate your input. It's been really valuable.
No, I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me on here, and hope what I've had to say has been of use somewhat. So slightly outside of recruitment stuff day to day.
Well, I think that's really helpful. It's a good perspective to have.
Cool. Yeah, it is. It's people, isn't it? People. We work in the business of people, so psychology is incredibly important and hugely undervalued, I think, within recruitment. So excellent.
Yeah, Ryan's got I suppose a unique position really, because Ryan's not a recruiter as a trade, but Ryan sits in the business and he coaches people inside the organization as well as the candidates and the clients externally. So he looks at it from a real holistic view. It's if there's any questions that anyone's
it's really impressive, Chris, that you've actually brought in somebody like Ryan. It's a bold move, I think, and obviously it's paying off because obviously you said you're not in day one, month one. I know obviously maybe not fully on the books, but you've been together for 3 years, so that's fantastic to hear. So listen, guys, thank you once again from everybody listening. I hope you've all enjoyed today's show. We'll be back again in a couple of weeks with some more exciting guests, so we'll get in touch with you and do that. But on behalf of all of us here at the Retained Recruiter Show, thank you very much for watching. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Thank you very much, everybody.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.